Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to Lost in the Wasteland, my weekly interview show where I get to learn a little bit more about somebody else's perspective on movies. And joining me is David Knight. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me on. It's good to be here again. Well, first time on this one, but we did a
Yep.
review one a while back. That was fun. So,
Yes, and David had been on my Wasteland watch list show where we just randomly pick something from our watch list. What that talked about a fun little Canadian animated short film, which was a lot of fun. But David, I guess if you want to introduce yourself a little bit to the audience, and then we'll get started.
sure. My name is David Knight. Born and raised North Carolina. Still live here. I live in an apartment with my girlfriend and my daughter. And I'm a big movie buff, movie nerd.
Mm,
We're AMC A-listers. We go to the
yeah,
movies at least once a week, if not more. Though we did cheat on AMC on Saturday and went to a Synergy theater to watch the Smurfs because they had a pretty cool breakfast combination. So we went and did
nice.
that. So I guess I'm an adult when it comes to film. What I kind of say, I can't be perfect. I'm also an aspiring actor,
Mhm.
writer, and hopefully producer. Got a call today about that. We'll see how that goes. I won't talk about it right
Yeah.
now. I've got a screenplay in pre-production called Drive-In Movie Massacres on IMDb. You want to check it out? It's under my full name, David Preston Knight. And I recently, if you those who like the romantic teen dramas, I don't know if that's the audience for that kind of thing or not, but I got a little peep on the background of the summer I turned pretty, very vaguely for a split second, but I'm on there wearing
There you
an
go.
ugly pink shirt. So, um, anyway, that's what's
Easier
going
to
on with
find
me.
you.
Yeah, exactly. And but plus, I'm auditioning for stuff, and hopefully more things come up. But I'm very optimistic, staying very busy with that. So,
Awesome. Sounds like you have some exciting things on the horizon. And I am also an AMC A-lister that does occasionally dabble into some other
yeah.
theaters. But like I'm definitely a big AMC guy, and it's hard to argue with that A-list deal that they have for sure. But sometimes find some movies elsewhere and um but I guess to get started with my questions on my end, this is always a fun one because usually people either have like an answer or like how can you ask me this question.
Yeah.
But David, what's your favorite film?
It's this was a landslide a few years ago, though we'll say
Mhm.
over the last decade or so it's gotten a little closer, but I still
Oh,
gotta go with The Godfather.
very nice.
I discovered it in my 20s, early 30s, and I watched it. Oh my gosh, it's great. Because I went through
Hmm.
this whole 70s cinema phase, because I was
Yep.
living in his apartment, I was dead broke. There's a library down the street, and we could like check out free movies, a lot of them from like the 70s and the 80s. So
Hmm.
The Godfather to me is this one of those great acting, writing, pacing
Hmm.
for the time. The cinematography was really good,
Yeah.
and I guess not something you watch every day, but it's something that you really got to be vested in. I've read the books too. I read the book as well,
Hmm.
so it's a great book and great movie. So
I've been a fan since I was probably too young to watch that movie, but whatever.
yeah,
As an Italian American from New Jersey, that was shown to me when I was like 10 years old. But and I've been watching that ever since, and it's such an amazing film. It's one of arguably like the perfect movies of like it does so many things so well and just all
right.
comes together in such an amazing way. And obviously has stood the test of time for over 50 years. So
Yeah, and there's this film that's it may already be out talking about the making of The Godfather, about how the five families didn't want it made because of the whole they didn't want their secrets being told and all that. It's a very amazing story, yeah.
yeah, they dabbled into that in the Offer, that Paramount Plus series for sure, where it's
Hmm.
just like, well, this is not what we want getting out in front of people. But that'll be very interesting to explore that for sure, because obviously that adds some complications to things when you have organized crime not wanting your movie to get made. So
Yep,
there you go.
that's a barrier.
Yeah. But now turning things back though, David, what's the earliest memory of going to the movies?
As a kid, I didn't go very much because, I was with my dad most of the time or at my grandma. My grandma didn't have a car and we didn't really go a whole
Hmm.
lot of places. My dad didn't go very often, but he loved science fiction. So when we did
Okay.
go to movies, it was the Star Trek movies. Of course, my
Nice.
age, Next Generation. We saw Next
Hmm.
Generation movies. We went and saw Stargate. in theaters. Anything with Star in it, we probably wouldn't saw with my dad.
There you go.
And one story was we couldn't even see one because my this is kind of a sidebar, I guess, but he
Hmm.
this is when they first started the no smoking things in North Carolina, and my dad was a smoker, and
Yeah.
we were sitting there waiting. He was eating popcorn. He was smoking a cigarette. He was asked put out. You thought you asked to sell us into slavery or something. It was bad. We never saw that movie, but yeah, that's a funny
Um,
memory. But yeah,
well, it's interesting because I remember in New Jersey when because I was a kid when they wouldn't let you smoke indoors anymore. So like that was a huge thing because like there stopped being like the smokers section of the restaurants and stuff like that. It was an interesting change of pace for things, but uh I'm a huge science fiction fan too, and I'm I'm starting to get more into Star Trek because that wasn't something I watched growing up. I watched Star Wars a lot growing up,
yeah.
but I watched some of like the Paramount shows like Strange New Worlds and stuff like that, and I'm trying to get into some of the older stuff because not gonna lie, my entry point to this was like the 2009 J.J. Abrams Star Trek, which is not like the Star Trek that most fans would be like, yeah, that's not the good place to start
I mean, like the Chris
things.
Pine and Zach Quinto one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny part in college, I got more into Star Wars than into
Uh-huh.
Star Trek because I didn't really watch Star Wars. I mean, I was one of the weird
Yeah.
people that never saw Star Wars my entire life. So I decided
Hmm.
to watch Star Wars and, oh, that's pretty good. And
Hmm.
then I've kind of, been following ever since the whole Disney thing, and Disney's
Yeah.
been hit or miss. Some are really
Yeah.
good. Others are like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And it's really hit or miss with Disney.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been fully invested in Star Wars since I was a kid, and I remember seeing Phantom Menace for the first time in theaters when that came out. And yes, I have watched literally everything that Disney has made Star Wars wise, and it's like we're in a bit of a lull period here. Just waiting,
Yeah.
like when's things going to be coming out? But
Yeah.
we'll see what the answer to this one is though. But David, what's your favorite genre of movies?
Well, my favorite genre is I like things that are kind of dark that make you think a little bit.
Okay.
I guess the summary would be like a psychological drama,
Okay.
something that has elements of drama and suspense, but it's like, what the fuck did they just do? That's
Yeah.
exactly but like look at movies last year, for example, that I watched, like Poor Things, was
Yep.
so weird and so
Yeah.
twisted, but it was so good. Stuff like that's like what I just watched. My girlfriend and I went and saw the 50th anniversary of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in
Yep.
theaters because I'd never seen it before. I tried to watch it
Okay.
before. See, I'm so behind on some of this stuff, but I watched it. I tried to watch before Netflix, but it kept freezing up on me,
Mm,
and I couldn't actually, watch it.
yeah.
So it came in theaters. I'm like, oh crap, we gotta,
Yeah.
we got it. So it was really good. But I love that movie. The '70s style. Like I said, that
Mm.
subtle psychological slow burn that modern audiences don't understand. Like on boards, like you just don't think. Okay.
Well, and that's such an awesome opportunity to get to see One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest for the first time in a theater, which I know it's its 50th anniversary and getting to show that
Yeah.
again in theaters. And that's one of my favorite films. And yes, that's a film that you invest in and it hits. It hits hard. And there's
Yes.
really dark, heavy things that you have to process through. And I think the 70s were definitely in a period where that was like very consistently like this is going to make you think, this is going to make you feel some things, and it's heavy, but they were very rewarding cinematic experiences for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You gotta. And there's some that are hard to watch, like The Deer Hunter.
Yep.
I've only watched it once. I loved it. I never want to watch it again. It is
That's
so
fair
hard
because
to
it's a hard,
watch. Yes.
there's moments in that film where it's just like I feel so uncomfortable, I kind of want to turn this off.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's
um
so good, but I can't watch it again. I can't do it.
yeah. Now thinking about, do you have any particular favorite filmmakers?
Oh God, there's so many good ones, and it
Yeah.
changes from day to day. Like
Hmm.
maybe one day my favorite is Stanley Kubrick. Maybe the next
Hmm.
day is Martin Scorsese. But right now, I probably gotta go with Christopher Nolan. He is
Okay.
doing some great stuff right now. Oppenheimer was a
Hmm.
freaking masterpiece. I saw a little teaser of the Odyssey in theaters. Like, oh my
Yep.
God, I'm so ready. And it's being shot
Which
all IMAX and all IMAX cameras. So I'm super psyched about that. And the cast they got for it. And everything he does, he writes, directs everything
Mm.
himself. So he's like all into it, and it's
Yep.
all detailed in particular. Oh, it's so good.
That has already sold $1.5 million of IMAX tickets a year in advance and already sold out. It's just like this is wild.
That's
Um,
amazing. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
yeah, because I know I'll occasionally take a trip up to New York City because I live in New Jersey to go to AMC Lincoln Square where they have the largest IMAX screen in the country,
Oh, awesome.
and that's already sold out
Damn.
for
I
a
didn't,
year in
I didn't
advance
even
for
know they
opening
were on
weekend.
sale. I didn't even know they were
They,
on sale that early.
I don't know if they sold the like started opening up selling tickets everywhere, but like at big IMAX screens they did, and they've already sold out a year in advance, which very few filmmakers can make a movie that's going to sell out tickets a year in advance for screenings, and Christopher Nolan's one of them
Yeah,
because every film he makes feels like an event, and that's something special.
exactly. He hasn't even probably, I don't think it's finished being shot yet. They're not done
No, it's
shooting it
not.
yet. That was just like a
No.
30-second teaser, if that.
Yeah, they barely had enough footage to just. They're like, people will see it. Just like throw some Tom Holland, John Bernthal in there. It's like, yep, people will get excited.
It's got like
Just like
a $300 million budget or something like that. It's gonna make it all back easily.
it's one of those things where like I sit in a theater and then a trailer is gonna play and just says syncope. I'm like, well, I'm sold already because it's a
Yep.
Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah, we were in. We saw. Say we're watching that. We're in. It's happening.
Yep, there we go. Now, thinking about in front of the cameras. So I know you're an aspiring actor. Do you have any particular favorite actors or actresses?
Well, now that he's actually out of retirement, because he's
Hmm.
coming back to do his son's movie, Daniel Day-Lewis, I thought he was done for sure. And then I read that he's filming something. I think it
Yeah,
comes out in October. But he's coming back, and of course, he's unmatched almost. I mean,
yeah,
he's hardcore method. He's won 3 Oscars.
yep.
He's coming back for this movie called Anemone or something like that. But his son actually he wrote and he's going to direct
Mm,
it. And it seems like I'm just excited to see what happens. So right now, since he is actually acting again, I gotta go Daniel Day-Lewis.
there you go. Which like I was very sad when they announced the Phantom Thread was going to be his last movie before he retired, but also like
I know.
he could do whatever he wants. Like, what
Yeah,
hasn't he done? Like, he
yeah.
probably could have won more than three Oscars, to be
Yeah.
honest.
He's been
And like,
nominated like 5 times or something like that, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
he is an incredibly talented, immersive performer, and
Yeah.
you feel it every time he's on screen. You know he's completely committed to this. Whether it's Nine and he's playing an Italian filmmaker who's singing about all of his women problems, or
Yeah.
and he's winning Oscars playing Abraham Lincoln, or Daniel Plainview is one of my favorite performances of all time for
Oh,
There Will Be
yes.
Blood.
Yes, it definitely, absolutely. And and
Absolutely.
he got him back for Phantom Thread, which I saw years later. I'm like, huh, this is another great. And that was close. That was in the UK, so he had a good fall for that one. But
Yeah.
that was a good one. That was a great one too. Got a nomination for that as well. Didn't win, but he got a nomination. So
Yep. I don't think I've ever seen anybody so like angry staring at somebody for buttering toast in my whole entire life. But he certainly did that in Phantom Thread. I'm like, I wouldn't want somebody staring at me like that at breakfast.
it's like, what am
So
I
just
doing wrong? I'm just you're being too loud.
you're making noise, period. That's the problem. Now, David, what is a film that you feel like you could just throw on and watch literally every day?
And this is up there as one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's so rewatchable and it
Mhm.
never gets old. And that's No Country for Old Men. It came
Nice.
out the same year as, of course, Early Blood. There was a big debate
Yep.
which is a better movie, and I always give this one the nod because you
Mhm.
can watch it over and over and over again, and the performances never get stale. It never gets old. You never get tired of it. And you always see something. Oh my God, I didn't see it before. You always see something you did see the
Mhm.
last time you watched it, and it's just a masterpiece. It's just great. It's so fun to watch.
I am a huge Coen Brothers fan. They're my favorite
Yeah.
filmmakers. And just the amount of details that are in this film. And if I had to show anybody a film that's perfect example of showing, not telling, it's this movie because there's so many little details, like you point out, that you just pick up
Mm.
on because it's subtly just threaded through the whole entire film, where it's just like
Yeah.
that makes sense now. And just the performances, and it is a dark film, but
Mm.
every time I watch it, there's moments that make me laugh more and more. And Tommy Lee Jones is just so sassy as
Yes.
the sheriff. Just, I think my favorite moment is when the deputy, Garrett, it was a Dillahunt, and that Garrett Dillahunt, and he's just like, "Oh, sheriff, we just missed him. Should we put out an APB?" It's like, what should we say? Put an APB out for a man who recently drank milk and just
Yeah.
sits down and is like drinking a glass of milk. And I'm just like, it's
Yeah.
fair. Fair
Yeah.
boy. They have no
Yeah.
idea what he looks like.
And the other point about that is I actually read the book for that as well, and it doesn't
Yeah.
deviate far. It doesn't
No.
deviate far. And a slight spoiler, the only noticeable difference is he has a young teenage girl with him in the book.
Yeah.
That's the only noticeable difference. Everything else is the same. And the author of that book, Court McCarthy, he writes the way people talk.
Yeah.
So it sounds so natural and real.
Hmm.
Um, and something I was going to say about that, I'm drawing a blank right now. But, all the actors, that even like the small little parts they had, the
Yeah.
Texas, everything was so authentic. And it was,
Well, and that's what's so great about Coen Brothers movies is the most minor of characters are memorable.
mm,
Because like everybody just stands out and delivers their lines so perfectly that you're just like,
yeah.
just like the interaction with the guy at the store where he
Yeah, it's
just
classic.
like buys his pants, like, well, how are the boots suiting you? Like he walks in a like a medical gown and just cowboy boots and just like all the little details. And I'm a big fan of Cormac McCarthy as well.
Yeah.
And I remember reading the book, and one of the little details is that opening voiceover from Tommy Lee Jones, they have that at the beginning of every chapter as you hear from Sheriff Tom Bell.
Yeah.
And I could not help but sit there listening to Tommy Lee Jones's voice every time I read each one of those.
Yeah.
He was such perfect casting for sure.
Yeah, and one quick thing, if I may, about back to
Yeah,
the idea of writing, of showing and not telling.
yeah,
I love that style because as me as an aspiring writer, when I try to write something, I want people to be able to follow without me having to tell you what's going on. When I
yep.
go to movies, I find it very annoying when they put the flashbacks in or when they spell it out for you, and it's like, why are you doing that? You shouldn't have to do that. If you have to do that, there's a problem with your plot. Right. You got to go
Well,
back and rewrite something.
and it's that, and I feel like there's a lot of it, especially in like Netflix shows on purpose, where they're writing for people who are half paying attention, and that's
That's
sad.
true as well. That's true as too.
And
If that's a fair
and
point.
and that's sad. And I'm like, you shouldn't
Yeah.
be writing shows for people that are like doing other stuff while watching your show. But
They're vacuuming the
unfortunately,
floor,
that's
cleaning the walls, whatever. Oh, okay.
doing my laundry, stuff like that. But what's a film that you connect with because it relates to another interest of yours?
Well, there's a lot of movies that I like watching a lot of. Um, and I decided to go because another one's going to come up later in a conversation.
Okay.
But I'm going to focus. I grew up watching a lot of pro wrestling.
Okay.
And Monday Night Wars,
Hmm.
Raw versus Monday Nitro and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And in that vein, I love the wrestler of Mickey Rourke
Yep.
because I've listened to wrestling podcasts, Jim Cornette's podcast, not in a while, but have in the past.
Hmm.
And I still watch the old clips on YouTube and stuff, just to see how it used to be. And you see like the old school wrestler, like what they go through. The average person doesn't know. And once you now everything's pretty open now, right? But
Yeah.
steroids and drugs and the travel and the stuff like that. But this guy is an over the hill wrestler trying to do this local circuit, and he's just so great at it. Mickey Rourke has been described as someone who can be a little lazy at times and
Mm.
stuff, but when he's on, he's like really on. And
Yeah.
I just love that movie. To me, it's like one of the best wrestling movies ever made. We'll say the newest one about the Von Erich brothers is pretty good, but this
Iron
one,
Claw.
yeah,
Yeah.
that one's really good. But this one, I think, is so. I really like this one for that reason. Those reasons.
I'm a I'm a big pro wrestling fan too. And I remember when The Wrestler came out, and there's been no film that has captured just the whole that professional wrestlers, especially in like, because Randy the Ram's supposed to be like a Hogan-esque, like big 80s star when there was
Yeah.
tons of steroids and you were cutting yourself to get busted open and doing all these
Oh yeah, on
things. And
on a nightly basis.
yeah, on a
Because
nightly
they
basis.
6 days a week. Now they
Yeah.
go maybe twice a week. But before it was 6 days a week in on the car driving around in the territories. It was
Well,
tough.
yeah, and I'm a big pro wrestling fan still, and obviously they're much more like they're athletes. This is like modern, like you have all these modern things to keep you in shape and stuff like that and keep you on track. And like
Yeah.
I just love how the wrestler captures like this is a rundown person past their prime, still trying to do it and trying to do it. I'm like, I know they worked with Ring of Honor a lot, and that's why there's a lot of Ring of Honor wrestlers. And like, that Necro Butcher like street fight match that they have in that movie is
Yeah.
horrifying. Watching just everything that they're going through, and Mickey Rourke was great. I love Marissa Tomei in
Oh
that
yes.
parallel of like she knows because she's like an aging, stripper and performer where it's just like it's all about your body. And you're
Right.
getting to a point where it's just like you're getting older and still trying to hang on to this. That film's
Yeah.
great. Love the wrestler so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, she's in a field where aging is not good for you. A lot
Mm,
like with another recent movie that has that same parallel was The Last Showgirl, which
yeah.
that was such a great movie, and you can
Yeah.
see what women go through in Vegas, and it's all about how you look. You don't look good anymore. They don't care about you no more.
Well, it's just like I work at a college. It's like you could be teaching until you're 80. It doesn't matter as long as you can get up in front of people and talk about stuff. But like, it's so interesting with what the wrestler does. And yeah, the last showgirl was a great example of that too, and a
Mm.
parallel, same kind of themes and ideas of like, what are you supposed to do?
Hmm.
And like Jamie Lee Curtis in that film, especially, and like, there's so many great things. Now, who's a movie character that you feel like you connect with on a personal level?
Oh, that's easy. Sandlot, Scotty Smalls.
Nice.
I was that nerdy, awkward kid who didn't have a lot of friends, didn't know how to
Uh-huh.
make friends, liked baseball but couldn't play it for shit.
Yeah.
That was me all the way. So I relate to Scotty Smalls on such a personal level. Such a
Yeah.
personal level. I wish the actor was doing more stuff. That's how
Yeah.
personal I take it. But it's one of my favorite baseball movies period. But one of my favorite baseball movies of all time. And as a kid, I watched that growing up on HBO like every week. It was on all the time.
Yeah, that came out a perfect time for me too, growing up as a
Yeah.
young baseball fan. And I didn't grow up in a time where it's just like my brother and I would go out to the baseball field and, try to play baseball with each other and stuff like that. But like that's just such like a fun, nostalgic look at like the love of the game as a kid and just appreciating that. And as we are discussing as we're getting to like the heat of the baseball season, um, I watch baseball on like almost a daily basis. So,
Oh,
I'm a big fan.
I've been slacking this year. I'm a Nationalist. I'm a big fan, but I just don't
Mhm.
get a chance to watch that much. I'm so busy. I'm so focused on different gigs and stuff.
Yeah.
But we did go to a AAA game on Friday. We
Nice.
got some free tickets to go to my girlfriend's nephew's work. It was pretty fun and really nice experience. It was super hot, of course, but my daughter
Yeah.
made a friend, so it was good. It was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what's a film that you love that you feel like would surprise people?
This is funny because people who know me know I'm kind of a snob when it comes to movies. And
Uh-huh.
like if I go to a movie and I see something like we watched Jurassic World Rebirth, we
Yeah.
wanted to slit our wrist. It was terrible. Everything was so bad. But on that vein, I have a thing for enjoyably bad movies. I
Mhm.
want them to be so bad that they're just amazing. And a recent one that, for example, was Cracking the Hunter. That movie is empirically terrible. The writing is awfully bad, but I just
Mhm.
laughed the entire time. But for me, in that vein, it's going to be The Room. I love The Room for the obvious, the worst, best bad movie
Yeah.
ever made. Troll 2, Samurai Cop, oh God, Mac and Me,
Yeah.
all those so bad they're good movies. I love those. People like, you like this? What's wrong with you? So it's either gotta be like well done or just totally incompetent.
I have a lot of friends who love The Room and have gone to midnight screenings of The Room, throwing spoons and everything and all
Yeah.
that ridiculous stuff. I I've watched it in its entirety twice. I can't do it. I'll watch clips because like some of them are just too much fun to like that flower store sequence is one of the most incomprehensible scenes ever shot on a movie. I'm like,
Yeah.
this scene should have been at least 3 times as long, and you're just rinsing through all the lines. Oh, hi,
Yeah.
doggy. And just like all of that. It's so ridiculous. But you know what? It got made and honestly made way more money than they probably would expect because it made this giant cult classic hit out of itself for sure.
Yeah, of course. I don't know if you listened to or read the Disaster Artist that Greg Sestero wrote about it, and we're actually
Yeah.
excited because we're actually speaking of them. We're actually going to go to a viewing in Charlotte on Friday, and Sestero is going to be doing commentary.
Oh,
So we're
nice.
both my girlfriend and I are really excited about that because it's the first time I've been to a live thing. I discovered them on like 2 or 3 years ago, so it's the first time I've
Yeah.
actually seen a live showing. So we're really excited about it. But yeah, it's great.
I read his book. Like I read the book Disaster Artist.
Oh
So
yeah, it's good.
I'm just like, this is wild. This is completely wild. The fact that they spent millions of dollars making that movie is just
Yeah,
incomprehensible to me. I'm like, where did it all go? Money laundering. That's the answer.
that's what they say. Who knows?
But David, my last question for you is, what do you love most about movies?
Oh, there's so much to say, but for
Yep.
me, it really comes down to just relating to real life experiences,
Hmm.
like seeing that character, seeing that story, seeing that experience. Like we've been through that experience. I went through that once. This is telling my life. Also, the other side of it helps you forget about the real world sometimes. Like you can be
Hmm.
stressed out, family member sick, struggling financially, whatever it might be. And then you go to movies and you just kind of forget about it for a couple hours and you
Hmm.
can just sit and examine and study the themes and it's great conversation and it triggers things in your brain, just so many good things about it. And that's why I love them so much.
I appreciate all the different aspects you hit on. And sometimes there's nothing quite like walking out of like a theater and walking out and it's like the light hits you on the outside and you're just like, wait a minute, I'm not like a superhero, or I'm like, I'm not part of this. And you're just like, oh well, snap back to reality.
Like, damn it.
And it's like it just has that kind of effect because like that's just telling how engrossing a film can be and how much it can just grab you and pull you in. And you could definitely tell if you're not vibing with a movie because you're just like, I want to be out of here. Like I don't care what's going on.
Oh
And that's the
God.
worst.
I've been a couple
And
of those this year, yeah.
yeah. Now, David, how I always like to wrap up my show is I let my guests ask me a question. So what would you like to ask the Wasteland Reviewer?
Oh wow. Where can I go with this? Uh,
It could be movie related, it could be other things, whatever.
um, I guess, well, obviously, you have a whole podcast based on talking about movies and whatnot. What was the film for you that made you fall in love with movies? What was not necessarily your favorite? Didn't have to, it can be, didn't have to be, obviously. What was the movie for you that made you just like, okay, I'm into cinema. This is my life now.
Well, I feel like which is actually they are my favorite movies. I just remember when I was 10 years old,
Mm.
I actually just turned 10 years old and went to go see Fellowship of the Ring for the first time. And just the Lord of the Rings films just made me realize like what you could really do with a movie
Hmm.
because I'll argue that fantasy films
Mm.
are the hardest films to make good because you have to be able to create a whole entire new world and get people to buy into them. And those films, I would argue, are some of the most perfectly balanced movies because every aspect of them just works on such an impressive level. Like the Lord of the Rings movies didn't win a bunch of acting Oscars, but those whole casts were fully committed to their performances.
Mm.
Obviously, the last one won a ton of Oscars for sure,
Oh
but like
yeah.
the music, the production design, just the directing, the storytelling, the themes, all of it just came together and they felt so special to me that they really made me want to explore movies more. And it took me until college. Like I did take actually took a film class in high school,
Okay.
in between all of like my business classes that I was taking and stuff like that. And it was just such a cool that was a class that like made me really think about movies in a different way. And I remember the first film we watched in that was Cool Hand Luke. And Paul Newman is so good in that movie. And just looking at how layered a movie can be, because there's a lot of Christ symbolism in that film for sure. And like that, it's very much a late 60s movie because like the anti-establishment of like this rebellious guy in this prison and all of those kinds of things. There's just, a couple of those key points where I'm just like, I see movies differently now. And like this is something really special and I really want to do something with it for sure. But I
Okay.
appreciate your question.
Okay, very, very cool. And Lord of the Rings, I will say it's about I love the movies as well.
Mhm.
I think I still own the extended version somewhere. I that's why I packed away somewhere. But I will say one of the few exceptions, the movie is better than the book. Because I
Mhm.
tried reading the book. My stepmom had the book. She said I would love the book. I tried it. I'm 100 pages in. You still got these damn hobbits dancing around a scene. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? What's the urgency? You have this ring that's going to take over the world and put everything in darkness. And you're sitting here fucking lost, walking around singing songs. I couldn't take it. I said, no, I can't do it. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. I
The
said, no, no, I'm glad they cut that crap out. Good.
the books are much more of like really digging into like the lore, and that's the thing because like J.R.R. Tolkien was a historian. He made languages, and you
Yeah.
can definitely tell that from reading his writing because it was like you get really into the nitty gritty of everything. And if you're not into like wanting to be like hundreds of pages into nitty gritty of just like all these little things, the films are definitely much more streamlined. Of like, this is the story. We're gonna get a move on.
See,
And
and that's the thing about Tolkien. I actually like Tolkien's other books. I love The Hobbit. The
yeah,
Hobbit was just the right amount of pacing. And I'm sure you've heard this. Have you heard this, The Cimmerian?
yep,
That's a great one. It's like it's because he obviously was a very religious man, very
yeah,
Catholic, and he was very devout and that kind of thing. You see the themes in it, but you read it, it's
yeah,
like the Old Testament Lord of the Rings. I was so fascinated by it. I'm
yeah.
like, I'm impressed, like this is impressed, but at the same time, God, you have no life. So I'm thinking like I got a two-edged sword here, but I love those books. Lord of the Rings, I just want to gouge my eyeballs out. The other ones I'm fine with. It's just that one, I
Like
don't know.
Tom
Maybe
Bombadil did not need to be in the movies. We didn't need like all that extra lead up. And that was one of my biggest problems with like the first Hobbit movie. I'm like, it's 50 minutes in and we haven't left the Shire yet.
So the Hobbit did the opposite. The Hobbit, they wanted obviously that was a studio money thing.
Because
They
of
were trying to
money.
stretch that out to get
Yeah.
more money, and it worked. But I was bored. It's okay. I read the book. They could have done this in two movies tops. Two movies tops and been done.
Like if you really wanted to lean it out, it could have been like a 3-ish hour movie and would have been able to at least hit the whole entire story in terms of what you really needed out of it. But no, it did not need three movies. The whole last movie was literally adapting like 7 pages of the book into a 2 hour and 20-minute movie. I'm like, I see what you're doing here, Warner Brothers. And it worked, like you said, because they made money.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's like I hate you for it, but damn it, you made money.
but David, thank you so much for taking time today to chat with me about movies.
Of course, man. Glad to be here. If you want me on for anything else again, just let me
Absolutely.
know. I'm hoping to be doing more guest podcasts on
Mhm.
other podcasts and stuff and talk about this stuff. Keeps me focused. So I think it's a good thing to do.
And I'll make sure to put your link for your IMDb into the description so people can check out what you have going on and where they can find you and stuff like that.
Awesome.
But thank all of you out there for always tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.